Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to the Mental Wellness Wake Up Show. I am your host, Dawn McMillan, the spiritual psychotherapist, bringing you wisdom from both spirituality and psychology so we can create lasting well being. I hope this podcast finds you happy, healthy, and well today. I am myself recovering still from a back injury, and I'm grateful to be upright and feeling good. I've got baby dog Bertram in the background. He may pipe up with his own old man dog wisdom. Let's get into it. So, today's topic is one that I really love and appreciate. I am a big believer and a follower of what is considered a third wave of psychotherapy, which is acceptance and commitment therapy. One of the reasons I love acceptance and commitment therapy, which is commonly called ACT, I tend to refer to it by its full name because, as an actor, when I talk about ACT, it can get a little confusing for anyone in my circle. So, acceptance and commitment therapy was founded out of some really solid scientific research. One of the foremost creators of ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, is Stephen Hayes. He's out of University of Nevada, Reno. And it's really beautiful, complex system of work that he and other creators of ACT have distilled into some tools that are, I kid you not, transformational. What I like to think of it as ACT as is an East meets West kind of approach to well-being. One of my favorite things to do is a melange, if you will, of techniques and styles, and acceptance and commitment therapy does exactly that. 40,000 foot view, big picture, acceptance and commitment therapy, acceptance and commitment training. The main pieces are exactly in the name: acceptance of what is and commitment to living life according to your values, to take valued action. So, one of the most important techniques in acceptance and commitment therapy is called diffusion. What's that about? Okay. Our brains, our beautiful, lovely, wonderful, amazing brains, have thoughts going all the time. Words, pictures, just on a loop all the time. Where we get into trouble is when we fuse with those thoughts. We believe the thoughts. We think the thoughts are real and true and important and mandatory. When that happens, we can create a lot of suffering for ourselves. If I believe the thought, I am a worthless good for nothing and no one will ever love me, I am fused with that thought. And I'm no longer able to see that those are just words in my mind. We're so vulnerable to the things that happen inside of our own heads in a way that we're not always to things that happen outside of us. If someone else walked up to me and said, "You're a good for nothing so and so and no one will ever love you," I'd be like, what'd you say to me? Unless it's your parent. That's a whole nother podcast. But we're so much better able to look at some of the thoughts that come from outside of our heads and go, not so sure about that. The things that happen inside of our heads, however, we buy hook, line, and sinker. Sometimes when we lose time, it's because we're buying a thought, hook, line, and sinker. We're just following that train wherever it's taking us without regard for the truth or the usefulness of the statement. So, what I'd like to share with you today are some techniques that are amazing at really separating us, the thinker, from the thoughts. We are the thinkers who think the thoughts. We are not the thoughts. So these are coming from Stephen Hayes. And if you hear paper in the background, it's because I'm looking at his book. The one I'm looking at right now is A Liberated Mind, How to Pivot Toward What Matters. He's got a lot of books. You can find a lot of really great information from him pretty much everywhere. One of my other favorite books of his is Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life. So this one is just thick and just chock full of really great things. So I'm going to share with you a few really wonderful ways to get your brain to stop beating you up, to defuse from your thoughts, And to make it so, you're the boss of you. Okay, first one, disobey on purpose. And it's so funny how this one works. It seems like it's a really simple, weird thing to do. And why does it matter? The point is that it does work. When we're fused with our thoughts, they feel like commands, they feel like capital T truth. And as if not doing what our brain is telling us to do, not believing what our brain has to say is just impossible. So, one way to break that cycle is to disobey on purpose. Here's a really simple way to do it. Raise your right arm while saying, I can't raise my right arm. Do it. Or your left arm, whichever arm is free, if you have arms. Or to stand up while saying, I can't stand up. And then sit down while saying, I can't sit down. And what that does, it's so absurd, but what that does is it scrambles your brain. It scrambles your brain just enough so that the dictator in your mind can say, Wait a minute, you're saying one thing, but you're doing the other. Wait, I'm the boss of you." You're like, no, I'm choosing. I am choosing. And it loosens up instantaneously. This one is so surprising in the results. Standing up while saying to yourself, I can't stand up, sitting down while saying to yourself, I can't sit down, absolutely like that begins to defuse you from that voice in your head that is telling you all the things that it's telling you, the dictator in your mind, and you're freer. You're freer with something so simple. So anytime you find yourself on that train of thought that isn't serving you or that doesn't feel like it's serving you, where you're beating yourself up or the dictator in your mind is like, you must, you shouldn't, you have to. Disobey on purpose. Tell yourself, I will not brush my teeth while you are brushing your teeth. And what Stephen Hayes says is, even the tiniest little demonstration that the mind's power over you is an illusion can very quickly give you significantly more freedom to do hard things. To quote Glennon Doyle, we can do hard things. And disobeying on purpose is one great way to set yourself up to do hard things. Are you immediately going where my brain is going, which is to addiction? I can't give up smoking. While you're giving up smoking, right? Simple, powerful, fun, easy. Tool number 2. This is one I share with friends a lot because it's also simple and easy. Give your mind a name and listen to it politely. So I have one friend who's named her inner dictator Karen, with apologies to all the beautiful, amazing, wonderful Karens out there. One of my dearest friends whom I love so profoundly like a sister is a white woman named Karen. But you choose a name that works for you. So what you do is if you give your mind a name that's different from yours, it reminds you that you are not the thoughts. You are the thinker who thinks the thoughts. So, for example, let's say you give your mind the name Maynard. So Maynard starts going on and on about, well, you know what, you just need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and scrub this house from top to bottom. And you go, oh, thank you so much, Maynard, for your input. That's really interesting, huh? So you're just listening politely to your mind, and it's reminding you that the voice inside your head isn't the boss of you. You are the boss of you. Little sidebar. I know this can be a little crazy making. So if you're getting confused or frustrated by your mind versus you, that's your mind confusing you. Let that be okay. And if you are someone who's suffering with severe mental illness or serious mental illness, take this with a grain of salt and bring this up with your psychiatric provider, because talking about the voices in your head can be a little more complex for some of us. Please just know that everyone has a whole committee inside their brains. That's normal. We all have Voices are pictures inside of our heads that have points of view. That's just normal. So if what you can do is tell your mind politely, oh, how interesting, and give it a name other than yours. Oh, Maynard. Huh, what an interesting point of view. What an interesting point of view you have there. And then keep you, the being, keep choosing what matters. Acceptance, your brain's going to talk. Commitment, choose to do what's important to you, even when Maynard is picking on you. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, appreciate what your mind is trying to do. So, your mind, your whole brain system is set up for survival. Our brains evolved to keep us alive, not to keep us happy, to keep us alive. And so, we have this negativity bias. Your brain, over evolution, has learned that paying attention to the things that are going to kill you is a higher value than the things that might delight you. I have some opinions about that, but let's just think about your brain as a survival mechanism. So when you're able to appreciate what your mind is trying to do, that softens the fusion a little bit. Your brain wants to be heard and acknowledged. So when Maynard is freaking you out about, did you pack an extra pair of socks? Oh, thanks for that thought, Maynard. Thank you. I really see how you're being useful to me right now. Thank you so much for trying to keep me safe. How lovely. So these two are similar. One is listen politely. Oh, okay. All right, Maynard, I hear you. And the other one is to appreciate what your brain is doing. Wow, you really are working so hard for me right now. Thank you so much, brain. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much, Maynard. Thank you so much, George. Thank you so much, Susan, whatever you want to name your brain. I'm fairly unimaginative. My brain's name is Brain. Thank you so much, Brain. Wow. I love how committed you are to my safety. I'm still going to go to the grocery store and thank you. Okay, so the last one. Oh, it's so silly. Silly is my favorite thing. This is for those thoughts that are really, really sticky. Sometimes we've been thinking thoughts for so long, or they were implanted with such force that they feel real, they feel true, they feel important, and it's hard to shake them. We all have them. What I'm trying not to trigger people. That's what the pause is. I was trying to pick a thought that may not be too triggering, but it's really hard to. So here's one that we almost all have. All of us have wounds around enoughness. So we have these thoughts of, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'll never be enough. I'm not good enough. We're going to work with that one because that's what a lot of people have. That's a sticky thought. It's a sticky thought because our entire structure of consumerism is designed to make you feel like you're not enough. So you'll keep scrolling, you'll keep shopping, you'll keep stressing, you'll keep buying the books and the programs and the things. So I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. Those are some sticky thoughts for a lot of us, or different versions of that. So this technique can really help with this one, and it's to sing it. And the way that you know that this technique has worked for you is if some of the charge is gone. Sometimes with these thoughts, you'll get to a point where you laugh because it's ridiculous. So I'm going to sing. I'm not good enough. I'm going to do it badly because that's even more fun, right? So Stephen Hayes says his default melody is Happy Birthday. So here we go. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And I'll never be good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. I'll never be good enough. It's ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. ridiculous. And as soon as you get a little sense of like, this is absurd, as soon as the absurdity of it comes, or even just a little bit of the charge is off of that thought, you, the being, have more freedom to choose. And I'm going to throw in one more. So the fifth one is related to that one. So you can sing your song, or you can take that really, really sticky thought and do it in a really absurd voice. I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough. Ho, 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 ho. I'm not good enough. Ho.
It's ridiculous. And by the way, those really horrible negative thoughts that you're having in your brain are absolutely ridiculous. So by making them ridiculous, you're able to get some freedom and some distance from it. So let's review our techniques to keep our brains from beating us up. Number one, disobey on purpose. Your brain says, while you're thinking or saying to yourself, I am not going to tie my shoes. Tie your shoes. I can't tie my shoes while tying your shoes. Disobey on purpose. Disobey on purpose. Number two, give your mind a name and listen to it politely. Oh, what an interesting point of view you have there, Maynard. Thank you for sharing that point of view. That's a very interesting point of view you got there. Thank Maynard for trying to be helpful. Wow. Wow, brain. Wow. You know what? Thank you so much for giving me all of those images of my house burning down as I'm driving off to work. You're super concerned about my safety. I really see how much you're wanting to be helpful here. Thank you. Number four, sing out those really ridiculous thoughts that are beating you up. I'm no good and I'm no good. I'm no good and I'm no good. And or say it in ridiculous voices. I like to play with pitch, be like, I'm really no good and I've never been any good. Or really low.
I am no good.
Do your Beth Darth Vader voice, whatever works for you. And as soon as some of that charge is off of it, you have regained your freedom. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Also, keep in mind for the things that you're saying out loud, people may look at you crazy, and feel free to share this episode with them. Oh, all right. So those are diffusion techniques from acceptance and commitment therapy. I borrowed these from Stephen Hayes' book. And I really hope you play with these. I know it sounds simple and ridiculous, and it works. It works. It works. It works if you work it, as they say in the recovery community. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes for you. I would love to hear about it. And as we wrap up, please give me the honor and the privilege of reminding you that you, yes, you, right here, right now, are whole, perfect, and complete just the way you are. And you are worthy and deserving of all good things. Thank you so much for listening. If this pinged for you, please reach out to me on the socials. I'm the Dawn McMillan in most places. Share this with at least one other person who might benefit. And have a great day and week and month and year. Until next time.